Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sport. Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 26. Season 6, Episode 26 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. as well. As always, Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM, depending on if there's baseball or hockey on the station. So again, I want to say thank you to Ryan O'Neill from WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta for having my show on his station the last 6 months as well. I hope everyone's doing well on this Monday, July 17th, 2023. July's half over. Hard to believe. But I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. This is his first time on my show. His name is Patrick Bernard from the Edge of Philly Sports, covering the Philadelphia pro sports teams. And he's also a co-host of a new podcast they created there called the Still Steps Pro Wrestling Podcast Show. So I'm going to talk to Patrick a little bit about all the Philly sports and maybe a little pro wrestling at the end of our show as well. Good evening, Patrick. How you doing?
What's up, Chris? How are you, sir?
I'm okay on this July 17th. I can't believe July is half over.
Yeah, how about that? How about it? It goes blink of an eye, our summer days. So but look, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying your background screen here, really touching my heart here of the link, and that's like my second home down there. So I appreciate you putting that up for me.
No problem. I do that with all the guests, and I am an Eagles fan here in Canada, and I've seen the Eagles play on the road 3 times in Buffalo and once in Green Bay, and they're 2-2 for me on my road trips. But I'm going to try to get up to Philadelphia for a Phillies and Eagles game this year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend it, and I definitely recommend you coming down here in Philadelphia. And like I said beforehand, you come to Philly, cheesesteaks on me. How do you want Pat's, Geno's? I can give you the whole list of places. It's pretty much at any corner, and they're all competing with each other down here as far as cheesesteaks, believe it or not. So everyone wants to be recommended to be number one. So.
The last time I was there, I had Tony Luke's at the Citizens Bank Park. Wasn't bad, but I don't know if it was the best one in Philadelphia. So for my audience here in Canada and Ontario, they want to come up to Philadelphia. Which are the best Philly cheesesteaks? What do you recommend?
I'll give you 3 off the top. Pat's, not just because it's my name, but Pat's at 9th Street in South Philly. A place called Joe's in Fishtown. And there's a spot called D'Alessandro's. I highly recommend it. It is in Manayunk, and it is really, really good. So, and everyone's buzzing about those 3 particular places. So if you ever come through, you or your audience, please swing by and get yourself one of those 3 amazing cheesesteaks. Because, like I said, the way they put in the cheese, like I said, I could give you a whole diagram right now, but we'll say that's a whole nother episode.
When I think of Philadelphia, I think not just of Rocky Balboa or Vince Papale, but I think of your passion for your sports teams. I think of your food and also local beer. What's some of the better local beer in Philadelphia?
Well, you know what? It's funny. I'm not much of a drinker, so I can't really answer that. But I mean, I know guys go out there. They love their Yinglings down here, so they love their Yinglings. They love the Miller Lights and all that stuff. So, but yeah, for me though, I mean, like I said, back to what you were saying earlier. one thing about Philadelphia, it is very, very sports passionate. I highly recommend. I try not against anybody, but when this city, this is all they do is eat, breathe, sleep sports here. It doesn't matter what level it's at. They want to see when you're in the playoffs, especially playoff time, whether it's the Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers, Wings, Union, you name it. College basketball, when it is down to the wire and into that championship, people can feel there's a championship run here, potential one, people all come together. So it's funny. I love being here. I love covering the sports out here. I love interacting with the people, agreeing, disagreeing, get cold names. It's one of the best things about being part of Philadelphia. It truly is. Matter of fact, there's a spot called Wawa out here. It's a like a I want to say a quick mark. But again, it goes above and beyond. You get your food, you get plenty of snacks, however you want it. You get your fuel, and then you get chat up with some people. And some lady just today, one of the cashiers just tells me goes, I want to let you know I'm not very ladylike. I said, ma'am, look around. You're in the Philly area. I wouldn't expect you to be very ladylike. So I thought that was very funny. So we both laughed at that. So yeah, just like I said, the one thing like I said, I wear this town on my sleeve. So like I said, I was blessed in the opportunity to come over here to Edge of Philly Sports to talk it. Like I said, I cover just about I want to say 4 to 5, 6 different podcasts, let alone on the network. I mean, I'm all I try to be like Bugs Bunny. I try to be all over the place. So I cover the Phillies, I cover the Eagles, I cover the Sixers, cover Flyers. I'm beat reporting for the Wings. I'm beat reporting for the Union. Like you said, you mentioned I do now do a pro wrestling show. So and I have that as a background, so I can adapt to it.
And I cover some local pro wrestling here as well. And I'm going to tell you this: as much as everyone loves the WWE and AEW, I love Canadian independent pro wrestling because these
Yes.
women and men. They love the sport. They're so passionate, and they give their all. And this local wrestling company, Crossbody Pro Wrestling here, I want to give them a quick shout out. They were one of the first people to give me an opportunity to do media work, like interview the wrestlers and do some stuff for my show on there as well. So I'm very thankful for them as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing when I think of Canada, two things that stand out to me is hockey uh, and wrestling. It goes hand in hand. Of course, you think about Bret Hart, Lance Storm, Owen Hart, Ed
Yep.
Christian. I mean, there's a plenty of great Canadian wrestlers who've come through. And now you look at Natalie, Jimmy Evan Neidhart's daughter. So there's a bunch of great women pro wrestling. And like I said, now we for us down here at EOP, we got guys who now cover pro wrestling, not just here talking to them on the podcast. We go out and cover it. We have our guy Hakeem, Chris, and our guy Joey Woods, who will be covering in Trenton, New Jersey, upcoming soon. I think it's this weekend or next weekend. He will be literally covering AEW from the press box. So we're very excited for the opportunity and move things forward.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know with me for the first little while when I started my podcast, a lot of these places would like, you're just a podcast or whatever. You don't have any credibility. But I'm gonna I admit now I've been doing this podcast for 3.5 years. Plus, I'm now on a radio station in Georgia. It's now seems like podcasting or podcasters are getting more recognized as media, and that's what we're doing. We're the newest. To me, we're the newest form in the future of broadcasting is live streaming podcasting.
Chris, you touch on an interesting point here because at first, and a lot of people tell you around here, they would listen to the two major sports radio stations, but with all the podcasting now, it's just because it's the new thing now. That's what everybody wants to do. Everyone's trying to come up with their own creative outlet and so forth. I mean, right now, again, thanks to these things called the cell phone, it's no longer you want to listen on the radio. It's kind of you want to see and you scroll through social media and who's doing what, who's saying about who's your again you build your fan base, you build up everything. And to your point, I mean, again, I started podcasting going on 6 years ago. So uh,
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I started with the group called Passing Out Fanatics. I wound up getting my own called Deborah Sports Podcasting with me and my group of guys. And then we took the under the umbrella with head management over here with Edge of Philly Sports, Al Safiri, and Joey Sheeran and Fred Burns, and we come together and we took the underneath the umbrella over here, and now we are working around the clock. I mean, somebody's out here doing something, and that's one thing I like is I work with a group, not just me. It's just a good, passionate group of guys who are passionate about trying to make something of this, and that's what it comes down to. Guys who are hungry, not just get in front of a camera, webcam, and just talk sports, but deliver you news, get an interaction with you. We want to hear. As you do now, we want to hear from the people. We want to hear from the fan base. We want to hear from strangers. We want to hear from all those things. So I very, very much enjoy it. Every time I turn on the webcam, this light here, put on the mic, I look towards to interacting with the people. The only person that gets annoyed with it the most is my wife.
Well, and also too, when I first started this, people were like, anyone can do a podcast, and maybe that's true, but they don't realize how much work it is in it. And being a solo guy, I'm my producer, I'm the host, and
hmm
booking guests, you know this as well. Booking guests is a full-time job itself, and promoting yourself on all these social media pages as well.
And Chris, another good point because, and that's another thing. People think you can just come here and just talk sports, blah blah blah. No, you have to do. You got to do your homework. I treat every show like it's a school project. You know what I mean? You have to have your homework. You can't just come into school, right? Or else you're going to get an F, and then people are going to call you out on it. So I make sure I have my notes. I make and if there is something I do not know, I'm going to be honest. I can't tell you what happened in 1973. I wasn't
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
So I
I
mean,
was,
but I
I
mean,
was, I was. I was only 1 year old. I was born in '72, by the way.
oh,
'72. I
okay.
think. I think a year after the vet opened. The vet opened in '71, so about a year
Yeah.
after the vet.
Yeah, well,
So
look, my old man told me plenty of horror stories at the vet. But if you were an Eagles fan, so yeah, and getting back to all this has become the new fad, and now I see, everybody who wants to talk, Eagles, whatever, there's people out there just getting in their own lanes. Like I said, and that's the beauty part about this because this became the newest and coolest thing. I mean, and like I said, this is the best way to interact with people you don't know and people. This is how you meet people and all that good stuff. And you see the conversations and they bring to you in your doorstep. So, like I said, I look towards it every time I'm under the light and under the webcam.
And my show is a sports talk podcast, but I'm also branching out to entertainment as well. And also, when I do sports, I like to cover not just my favorite teams, but I like to learn from the rest of the league as well. So I try to have diverse guests from
Mm-hmm.
diverse backgrounds, and I just try to make it entertaining. And as for Philadelphia, besides yourself and Gary, I've had Jim Jackson on my show,
Oh,
the Philly fanatic. Tom
well,
Begring has come on. John Marks, he's been
okay.
on, and one of my friends, Jamie Pagley, the Philly sports guy. He was one of
Yes,
the first guys
love Jamie.
he a couple years ago. I was starting out. He believed in me. He came on my show. He got me on to StreamYard. So he's been great. I owe him a beer. And Tom McCarthy, the voice of the Philadelphia Phillies. So you know what? Even though I'm only an Eagles fan, the city of Philadelphia has really been supportive of coming on my show with great guests.
Well, listen, all those guys you mentioned, I met Marks. I met Marks when he was running a sports show out of this place called Annie's Diners in Ben Salem. So me and him would chat it up. And then Jamie, the sports guy, I can't say anything bad about the guy. Is another one, another workhorse. I know he's under the Philly Sports Shirts umbrella. Again, I had the opportunity to meet him last the open day of Phillies baseball, and me and him headed off well. And I introduced him to me and my crew. And when he's had a couple episodes with guys who I won't say weren't good, but he's like, I don't know what's gonna pretty much make you guys different. I want to be able where I can like it. I said, trust me, with me and my crew, we'll make you laugh and we're gonna make you feel just at home. And I'm glad I lived up to my word. And me and Jamie are still good friends. So, but yeah, shout out to my man Jamie because like I said, my man. I don't know where he gets the time. I don't know how he gets the time to do it, but my man does an excellent job painting up his face, no matter where he's out on the road. My man's got some time. I think the man goes to sleep painted up.
Yeah, he's very passionate, and no, I'm gonna have him on my show again for a fourth time, and he's been really great. And one thing I've done about this show is not just make contacts. Obviously, it's important because my ultimate goal is to get into the radio industry. But
Right.
I've made a lot of friendships here too. People I never thought I would have on my show, or I get to know, and it's been awesome so far.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, to piggyback on everything, me coming over here with Edge Affiliate Sports, I've met so many new people, and just doing this alone, I've had the opportunity, and I'm blessed too. This past last summer, I had the opportunity to interview Dave Mickey Evans, the producer, the director of The Sandlot. So. To me, that was a high honor, and for him to just, didn't superstar me, didn't he was gladly come on. We made him laugh. And here I didn't realize he's from the PA area. So it was, like I said, we had more in common than I thought. So, and I asked him about the story and all this other stuff, and he said he just, it's again something off his life. He went from being a PA kid, living out of California, getting treated like smalls at first, and so forth. So again, I got, like I said, I got to thank him. Like I said, I've come across celebrities. I've come across, uh, you know, tons and tons of Philadelphia athletes, and doing this. So again, like you said, you people think, oh, who are you? You're just a guy who comes on here and just wants to talk sports or whatever. And it's no, like if you're driven, if you got the grind, you'll get what you're getting. What you put in is what you'll get out of it. I've got opportunities to talk with in chats and with Marty York and stuff like that. And I talked. I had Mike Reckenbach, a former Eagle, come into my studio, and we got shoot the talk about football and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like I said, again, this has been I'm living a dream, yeah, if you will.
I've always had a passion for sports, but back in the 90s, I'm older. I'm 51, by the way. They didn't have this technology, so I just took law
Right.
and security and I went into a corporate security career. But a couple years ago, I got a taste of the broadcasting bug doing camera work, and my camera work actually led to my podcast and just being at the right place at the right time. And it took me 47 years. And I told Vince Papali, I said, back in '76, you were the oldest rookie in the NFL. I said, well, now in 2022, I want to be the oldest broadcaster. And I just
Yeah.
want to prove I love the Rocky story. I love his story. And I just want to prove to people that you can switch careers no matter what age you are.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, Chris. Oh, yeah, Chris. Like I was saying to you earlier, I wound up, like I said, I started my life as I've always wanted to be a pro wrestler, and I wound up becoming a pro wrestler. I wound up, believe it or not, I've actually got phone calls from the WWE for a tryout to go tryout for a Tough Enough in 2010.
Awesome.
And yeah, so like my buddy, my promoter Chris Sutton told me, he's like, yeah, you expect a phone call from WWE. I'm like, yeah, right. WWE is gonna call my phone. Here I am on my honeymoon with my wife, and my phone's going off. I'm like, what's this number? LA, California. I'm like, let me guess, it's one of these stupid random calls. I pick it up, and they say, yeah, this is the so and so, producer from LA. We want you to come out and possibly live out here for 6 months. And the way the WWE makes your gimmick, they make it off your personality. If you're Chris the Disco Mamba or whatever, well, guess what, Chris, you like to go out dance on Saturday nights. We're gonna make Chris the Disco. They make your gimmick off your character because believe it or not, they told me right on the phone. If you are a John Cena fan or the Rock fan, and you're gonna tell me that's your favorite wrestler, we're gonna hang up the phone right now. They just want to know about Chris. And that's all they want to know. So, but after I took it totally. You're going to be on the road a lot. You're not going to see your family. So, and I was on my honeymoon at the time, so it was the hardest turn down. And then I started looking for other passion, and then I start I start calling into the radio a lot, listening to sports radio, and one of the guys who I love listening to, a guy who's been a close friend of mine, became really good friends with me, is Mike Missinelli. I'm pretty sure you heard the name. One of the biggest sports radio heads in Philadelphia, and the way he delivered his message every day was really just spectacular. The way he just came out and talked sports, and it's what he was saying. You felt that in your heart, and I called him up at least every day, and I said, you know what, Steph talked to you for a minute. Why don't I just try doing this on my own? And I could instead of talking to you for a minute, I could start talking to you for I could talk for an hour and try uh, be like Mike in a way. So I kind of, got started, like I said, I came across this guy named Tom Kelly in Pasadena Fanatics. He kind of gave me my opportunity. And then I started to going on my own. I brought it into, like I said, I went under brought my in Devro Sports podcast, a playground that I named after, kind of got involved there. Um, so after I did that, I wound up going to Edge of Philly Sports, and here I am now working with a bunch of workhorses, and we continue bringing the content every single day.
One thing I've learned this from Eric Smith of the Raptors, Chuck Swirsky from the Bulls, is listening skills. And sometimes you can be prepared to have all your questions, but you can sometimes ask your guest one question and they can already answer a couple of questions, which you already did here as well. And also, I've learned too that Eric Smith gave me this good advice as well. It's okay to prepare for your podcast, but always talk to your guests like you're at a sporting arena, a sporting event, or a coffee shop, because it makes for better natural conversation. Even Tom McCarthy told me that as well. So I try to take some advice from all my guests and try to apply it and try to improve on each show as well.
Right, and that's one thing, believe it or not, the pro wrestling life prepared me. As I like I said, when you're first wrestling, the first impression you want to be. I started in '04 as training under the King Kong Bundy Wrestling School. So I went to his wrestling school, learned a lot how to wrestle old school psychology. My man Austin, me and Austin do we do a video game old school podcast. So if you like old school TV shows, video games,
Yes, yes.
um, that is the go-to our page on Deborah Sports Facebook page, and yes, go get you will, like I said, be highly entertained because we go old school. It's for us, me and him, we kind of put this together as what it's Mondays. It's the case of the Mondays. It's for you're preparing, you're doing this, that, the third. You got the long week ahead, so we kind of just trying for an hour, just trying to put your brain on ease, like. Okay, this is like on vacation mode. You know what I mean? So that's how me and Austin, came together for this. So, but back to the wrestling story. Like I said, I started in '04 under King Kong Bundy. He like I said, he was teaching me a lot of old school, how to wrestle old school. '05 is kind of, I started getting I went from 250 pounds to 185 every day in summer heat. I would just run sit ups, push ups, runs every day. Um, and then I wound up going, you eventually, make a name of yourself. So, you have to work other little local independent companies. And I wound up working for CZW at a time. And I got to work for ACPW and I got to work for all these little companies and meeting some great people. And believe me, one of the greatest wrestling minds I've ever come across, and I tell this all the time, is the hardcore extreme New Jack. So everyone takes New Jack as this hardcore wrestler and all this stuff. But the guy was very, very smart in the locker room. As far as psychology, as far as how to work the heel bad guy, if you will, just listening to his advice and taking it. And I was very, very blessed, and for the opportunity. Now I'm not gonna lie to you. I was in the locker room with him, and he tapped me in the shoulder. This is up in North New Jersey. He goes, yeah, I want to tell you. I said, I'll see you out tonight. We're gonna have a lot of fun. And I could have sworn I was gonna have two drops of pee come through my tights. I said, I went to my form to the booker. I said, I'm not wrestling Jack, am I? They said, oh no, 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 no. We we want him to wrestle somebody else. You don't worry about that. I'm like, oh, start praying. So, but yeah, like I said, I learned a lot from New Jack and then like I said, I wound up maturing in the wrestling business. You learn to live just like in this podcast. You learn to live on this side of the guardrail. You were the fan. Now you learn to live on the other side. You learn to be, you learn to mature. You learn to uh, you're not, you're a fan at heart, but in hindsight, you're an interviewer, you're a business, you want to get your name out there, all that fun stuff. So, like I said, I grow and matured not only in the pro wrestling life, but in here in the podcasting life.
One thing I wanted to say too, being involved with Crossbody Pro Wrestling here, where I live near Guelph in Kitchener, Cambridge, I get to see these men and women how athletic they are and how good of an actor they are as well. And
Yeah.
they also they also a lot of them I talk to and interview, they also prefer being the heel over the baby face. They find playing the heel is more fun than the baby face. Your thoughts on that, heels and baby faces?
Heels and baby faces. Yeah, well, easy. I mean, how hard does it take to tell someone that you try and get underneath someone's skill? I mean, under someone's skin. You know what I mean? It's not hard. It's not skills at all. I mean, it's hard to be a face and be that good guy and try and get people behind. You just have to have a swag to you. You have to really go out there and work hard. Look, it's people, we call it a work. You know what I mean? It's you're working to be the bad guy. I'm working to be the good guy. You can get them to hate you. They're going to love me, and it makes my job a lot more easier. So it's more of it's a partner. You know what I mean? We're dancing in the ring. Where you and I are sitting there trying to put a good show for the audience. And I mean, that's what it comes down to. You and I are, we go over what they tell us, the booker promoter tells us who's going over, who's going to win, and you and I just work it out. We tell each other, okay, whatever, and then we're there to put a show on for the people. We want the people who spend their $20 to $35 to buy the ticket. We wanted them to go home happy. That was always my attitude. I know there's guys with egos. Like I said, behind the curtains is a whole nother world from what you see in front of the curtain. So, and there's guys who get egos and all this. I need to be champion. Like, I've had an argument with a wrestler before. Like, me and him went, he went to the promoter. He's like, oh, Pat does, Frankie Frizzo was my work name. So he's like, oh, Frankie Frizzo shouldn't be, you shouldn't put the belt on him. He should be me. I said, bro, I said, if you want the belt, have it. I said, the only belt matters to me is the one I wear Monday through Friday to work. I said, if he's holding me up and getting me to work. I said, that's no one out here is really, keeping stats out here besides you. I mean, I don't. I mean, but again, this is some of the guys who get their egos and all this stuff, and so it is what it is. Be honest with you. I mean, if you're really, really good to me in the pro wrestling, you don't even need a belt. You're too good for a belt. So that's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. We'll talk about before we end the show. We'll talk a little more about your new podcast that you're a
Yeah,
co-host of, called Still Steps, and we'll promote it on here as well. I
appreciate
just
that.
want to. Are you okay for time still,
Yo,
Patrick? A few more questions. Okay.
lay it on me.
Okay. How did you end up getting involved with Edge of Philly Sports 6 years ago, and how was that? How did that happen? And were you a little bit nervous when you were first starting out doing this?
You know what? It's great question. When you get the mic and you're told you're going live, you're like, oh boy, here I go. But at the same time, again, from the wrestling background, right? They call your name. Here comes Pat. That the minute you go through that curtain, it's game time. You learn to separate yourself. You learn to, all right, I'm gonna give it my best shot. So when I got, when I saw the mic, camera, lights, camera, action, I was ready to go. And I was, again, my friends will tell you, Al Safiri, my co-host Mike Laro in the morning at 9 a.m. He'll tell you I got a laptop, I got notes. I mean, I'm ready to rock and roll. So the minute that camera comes on, it's go time for me. So again, just so being nervous wasn't really there for me. And to me, it's sink or swim kind of situations. This is the time to shine, or is it time for you to sink? So you make the best of your opportunity when it rises. So and here I gave it my best punch, and like I said, when I was growing into this, into the business and maturing, and I have had a bunch of phone call conversations with, like I said, Al Safir, who runs the network here, and he liked what I brought to the table, and he took me in. He said, right, come on over. So I made the transition. And I got to work with guys, Bells and the Birdmen with John Barcher and Vinnie Quinn and so forth. Guys, so those guys again. gave me some light, gave me some direction, some influence, and I gotta give him the credit for that. But um, like I said, when I came over to Edge of Philly Sports, I was going to be me. And I told Al Safiri, listen, bring me on. I'm going to give you my best, my best abilities. My best ability is my availability. So I'm going to be there when you need me. I'm going to be there writing articles. Here I am writing articles, beat reporting, and all that stuff. So I sold him who I am. I give him the whole package. So here I am uh, writing articles, doing shows, and I love it. Yeah, I'm here committedly from here. If I'm not here, I'm at the studio doing work.
When you were growing up, obviously being in Philadelphia, it's a great sports town, but it's also a great town for broadcasters. Who are some
Yeah.
of your broadcasters that you really idolized and helped influence your career as well?
Um, Mike Missinelli at number one. Mike
Yes.
Missinelli. Um, when coming home from work, your 9 to 5 job. You want to. Let's keep it being. Sometimes listen to music. It's the stations play the same music over and over. So like I said, when I retired from pro wrestling, I started wanting to get into this, and Mike Missinelli was the first guy I really started listening to because I was listening. You go, you turn the radio, like, man, I just heard this song, and you go, I just heard this song. So when I finally flipped on sports radio and listened to Mike Missinelli, I was like, wow, wow, this guy's good. And then it becomes not just a one-time thing; it becomes an everyday thing. But yeah, Mike Missinelli. Again, I have a really, really close relationship. Believe it or not, me and him write to each other all the time. We DM one another. We have, like I said, we have a great, great friend relationship. No matter what time of day it is, we can hit each other up. I mean, matter of fact, it was a snowstorm, and my man was hitting me up in the middle of a snowstorm. So like I said, I got him. I got Anthony Gargano. Anthony Gargano is another great voice, midday host, a guy everybody here really, really enjoys listening to. Again, it's a passion. People could tell your passion through this when you're mad or happy or excited or whatever you are. People can feel you and they can relate to your passion while you do this. So when people see me yell and scream, people can relate to that. But yeah, like I said, Anthony, Mike, or definitely my 1-2 punch into the business because again, they had such a way to connect with the fans and to the people. It was like I said, it was must watch. And I gotta give one more shout out, and it's one Harry Mays. Harry Mays is great. I mean, highly entertaining. He'll make you laugh. There was times that him and Rob Ellis were on the show together. I had to pull over my work truck because I was in tears because they brought a sense of humor to the show, not just talking sports, but they would make you laugh through the course of the show. So I would sit there and I pull my work truck over. I would be in tears, not from crying, but I mean, I'm crying, but I was laughing because I was laughing so hard because some of the points they were making on course of the show. So those guys right there, I would say, are my on my Mount Rushmore. So
Yeah, and when I think of Philly sports too, not just to talk radio, but when I think of the Eagles, I think of Merle Reese, Mike
oh
Quick, and
yes.
then the Phillies, Harry Karras. I just think there's been so many terrific broadcasters in the city of Philadelphia over the years in talk radio and also covering all the sports teams there as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, you nailed it on the head. When you think of Philadelphia sports, you think of the Eagles, you think Merle Reese, you think
Yep,
of Ray Dininger, you think of Seth Seth Joyner. I mean,
Joyner,
there's so
yes,
many. I mean, I had an opportunity to meet him. He's such a nice guy. You meet those guys who do again do the post game and all that stuff. And same, you think of Flyers, you think of JJ, you think of Keith Jones, and I'm very excited to see Keith Jones and Danny Barrera in the Flyers front office. It's where Philadelphia sports. There's always a storyline. There's always
yes,
there's
yes,
always a storyline. I mean,
yes,
even with the four major sports, the Eagles, are they going
yep.
to are they going to be as good as they were last year? Are they going to, is Jalen Hurts going to be the quarterback that he was last year? And then you got the Sixers, Joel Embiid today. News leaked out that he was at the Fillmore saying that if he would like to win a championship here or somewhere else. So that puts stuff in people's brains. Then you have the Flyers. You have the Flyers who finally have a direction, not bringing these old time veterans to to try and fix a there's actually a direction, complete rebuild. I mean, a complete rebuild. Danny Blair and Key Jones are hitting on all cylinders. Finally, it's when the Flyers are completely at rock bottom, they're looking up, and it's funny because people are like, Flyers are like the fourth, 10th town. When it comes to all teams, people are, and again, for what I want to say 2 weeks ago, Flyers were the topic of conversation around here. So you have the Flyers, you have the Phillies. Phillies are right now, fighting for,
Playing
I
good
call it,
baseball.
playing good baseball, fighting for a
Yeah,
last spot for a wild card spot.
card.
We're gonna see what the pitching, and I've always that's the gray area team to me anyway, is the pitching, the starting pitching, whether it's Nola, Wheeler. Uh, you get some of the Taiwan Walkers. Some of those guys don't have the best of starts, but like I said, again, there's a storyline inside of Philadelphia. Is now no longer going to be going after this year. All like I said, even with the Philadelphia Union and Philadelphia Union, what are they going to look like on the second half? This they just hit the All Star break in the MLS. What are they going to look like on the second half? So much storylines. I could give you a little bit of wings. The wings. They brought in Mitch Jones from Vancouver, and I love Mitch Jones. I've had Take Tony on my show. I've got but again, what are they going to look like for next year? The first half of games they come out red hot. Second half of games, that foot it's off the gas pedal. You have no idea who this team is. It's actually the first time I got to cover a game was for the Philadelphia Wings, and there's Paul Day, the head coach and GM, and I'm like, I'm just going to sit there and observe. And the one guy was like nudging me. He's like, yeah, throw a question at him. I'm like, all right, well, like, what's going, I just started asking him, like, hey, what's going to be the big adjustment? And like, you're always struggling here. Well, I mean, are you guys going to do some film work and so forth? So, but like I said, there's so many storylines in Philadelphia sports. It's so funny, and everyone's at the edge of their seats, waiting to call in, waiting to type in, and like I said, I love to be in the middle of all this.
And as for the Phillies, I have a little bit of a connection there with them. Their manager, Rob Thompson, is from
Yes.
Sarnia, Ontario, which is about
Hmm.
2 hours from me, and he's in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. And
Yes.
I was actually at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, and I got to interview Jesse Barfield, Josh Barfield, John Olerud, and beat reporter Mike Wilner, who covers the Blue Jays. But Rob Thompson's stuff is in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. It's not as big as Cooperstown, New York one is, but it's still great. And so much respect for Rob Thompson. And everybody here in Canada was cheering for the Phillies in the playoffs last year because of Rob. And also, I'm a Tigers fan, by the way, lifelong Tigers fan since '79. So Dave Dombrowski, our former GM, is
Yes.
your GM now, and Nick Castellanos, who played for
Yes.
Detroit as a third baseman. So I've got a little bit of as long as the Phillies aren't playing the Tigers, I kind of cheer for the Phillies.
Yeah, yeah. You listen, Nick Castellanos is having an incredible year again. He went to the All Star game, and rightfully so. He's been a double machine. He's been hitting the ball. Everyone cries. Some people cry rather. Oh, he doesn't hit the long ball. The guy gets on base, man. Whether it's singles or doubles, triples. I mean, the guy knows how to make contact. Again, he's taking pitches. He's not swinging at wild stuff. I mean, he really adapted from last year to this year, and his defense has been really, really solid. So Nick Castellanos has been playing very, very well. But yeah, Rob Thompson, way to fill the void. Last year, the Phillies go out and get rid of Joe Girardi, and this team was just looked like it was about to hit rock bottom. I mean, there's just too much talent on this team. So he turns it around again. You go from being the worst to here you are in the World Series race, and my God, again, you're bringing life to the city. And like I said earlier in the show, when one of these teams, doesn't matter which one, when one of them are in the hunt, all eyes on you. You know what I'm saying? It's all eyes. I mean, and it's funny because like the Philadelphia Legends come out for you. Like it was the Eagles Super Bowl run. You had Eric Lindros coming through. You had Brian Dawkins. You had Jimmy Rollins. You have so many people want to come and watch. Want to watch greatness. Wants to see this thing go down. LaShawn McCoy, who got traded from here, still loves the city. I mean,
Yes.
that's if you it's funny if you perform well, the city. Well, you don't have to buy a drink ever again in your life. If you play like garbage, they are the first people to take you to
Yeah.
the
We'll
airport and
call
tell
you
you
out.
where. Yeah, and they will call
They'll
you out.
call
I
you
mean,
out. Yeah.
the Boo Birds will be waiting for you. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, if the scores, uh, 8-0 the opponent, you're not going to get the golf clap. You're going to get the boo birds, and if it continues that way, there'll be some stuff that some foreign objects comes your way. So, and listen, if these guys could throw snowballs at Santa Claus back in
Yeah.
1970, they have no
Yeah.
problem doing it with
Yes.
anybody else.
Well, and also too, Nick Foles. Well, look what he did in Super Bowl 52. And Carson Wentz. I was a big Wentz supporter when he came, but Wentz never fit in with the Eagles. Unfortunately, I think his career is over with, and he's got to
Yes.
be one of the biggest disappointments in Philly sports in the last 30, 40 years as well.
You know what, Chris? Interesting point. That's going to be like an Eagles 30 for 30. I mean, what happened if Carson Wentz didn't get hurt? Like, would we even see a Super Bowl? I mean, the questions are there. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, and Nick Foles comes in. Everybody had again, my man Double G Gary. What's up, buddy?
Gary,
My man Gary, I love you, Gary. But yeah, Nick Foles goes on this run, and like I said, everybody was counting him out. No one was even looking his way. Oh, great, we're back. We're down to Nick Foles. People around here are waving the white flag, and
I,
no. And then, you know, if I would have told you he goes pound for pound with Tom Brady and outplays Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, where Tom Brady adapts to the best, and he outperforms Tom Brady, where the point that Tom Brady after the game couldn't even shake the guy's hand. So, but it's the first ever Super Bowl, and now if you ever go through the link, the first thing you see is Doug Pierce, a statue of Doug Pearson and Nick Foles calling the Philly.
in terms of championships, obviously the Phillies have won two. The Flyers have won two, but not since 74, 75.
Yeah.
And the Sixers haven't won since 83. But in terms of championship moments, would you consider the Eagles win in Super Bowl 52 the biggest in Philly sports history?
I want to say yeah, because even the Phillies ended what the 28 drought of a championship back in '08. That was my first ever championship. That was the first one I've ever seen come through Philadelphia. And everybody was like, "Wow, like this is happening." Like this team that just got in and made a run, and again that was something amazing. But when the Eagles are is at the top of everybody. It's number one here in the city, and for the Eagles to again go into Super Bowl 52 with a backup quarterback and outperform the goat of football. And like when that clock, I've seen people cry. I've seen grown men I've went to work with cry, and we're excited for the moment. People, and God rest their souls, but there's plenty of people who have come and gone since then, and they're like, there's people who mortgage their homes for season tickets for this stuff. People go on the roads and spend top dollar and to see their teams play. So when this happened, it was like no one thought this day would ever come, but it came, and people were just in the street, and it's weird. Like normally after a championship, you hear the crazy, the riot, and it was not like that. It was like more of a kilo, just cool time. Everybody getting along, everyone just living their living the best life. So for me, this was the biggest moment because again, I thought I would never see in the day. And you alluded to earlier, you were talking about a Rocky story. Nick Foles is the epitome of a Rocky story, a long shot who, again, Rocky facing against Apollo Creed, right? A nobody going against the best. Everybody was down and counting Nick Foles out, and here he comes. He rocks the best quarterback of all time, in the Super Bowl. So I gotta give kudos to that.
I wanted to also say too, Pat. I
Hmm.
thought last year's team had more talented than the 2017 team, but the bottom line is they didn't win. But um, here's what I want to ask you, Pat. As an Eagles fan, do you feel this team is better prepared for success long term after the Super Bowl last year against Kansas City, even though they lost, than they were when they won Super Bowl 52 against New England?
This is another great question because I think this team is more prepared, and I think even though a lot of people are going to have them on notice, but Jalen Hurts, so young, so talented. Again, a lot of people here in Philadelphia were crying their eyes out when Carson Wentz got traded and very upset. And then again, they thought he was going to be their franchise quarterback for a long, long time. They believed it, and then they see this, Jalen Hurts who gets drafted in the second round. They're like, we're going to turn our future to him. He's got no shot of being the next guy. And not only that, he has, again, last year, and I got to give my broadcast partner, Mike Lauer, credit. His first year, again, he played a rookie. Mike Lauer said, give this guy time, let him work on his mechanics, and he'll show you what he is. And I said, nah, it's sink or swim. I already seen enough. I got enough sample size. And man, he blew my mind. Again, he was in the MVP race. I mean, Jalen Hurts again, a second year in this league. So now you're going to your third full year, and now that's going to be the question mark. Will he be the guy? And I think so. As long as you have Howard Roseman, who's running this football team, the general manager, you stack around him. Guys like AJ Brown and so forth. I mean, you built him that perimeter wideout core and tight ends, guys who are playmakers, and that's all you need. That's he knows how to build a kit. He brings the groceries. Now we got something in the kitchen. So again, this Eagles team is built for the long haul. So like I said, with Howard Roseman at the helm, run the whole show, this team is in good hoots. I feel good about it.
The only one thing I say to everybody, being a football fan, CFL, NFL, college football, one thing you can have all the talent you want, you can have all the best coaches and stuff, but one thing you can't account for is the injury. So we'll just have to cross our fingers
Yeah.
and stay healthy because you
Well,
just never know.
yeah, and again, to you, like I said, hopefully no injuries come down on this team. But like again, this kid, this Eagles team went to the Super Bowl. You had, Patrick Mahomes MVP. You had him on the ropes. You had him on the ropes. I mean,
Yes.
yeah. Unfortunately, if you want to blame the slippery turf, whatever the case may be, listen, the better quarterback won. But I mean, it's not like he squashed you. I mean, that
No.
first half was all the Eagles. I mean, it was. I mean, it was like Ivan Drago coming right at the gun and unloading. So again, this is a football team that Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes ever saw. I mean, the defense alone is nasty, led by Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. I mean, those guys, uh, they got a plethora of young core there, the Kobe Dean and stuff like that. I mean, they got monsters on that front line, and then of course you look at the O line. What's been keeping Carson Wentz and keeping Jalen Hurts is one name is Lane Johnson. Now he's going to be a little older. People are thinking about who's going to be replacing him in the near future. But I mean, age is just a number to this guy because he's been a brick wall for every quarterback that's come through. Him, Jason Kelsey, they want to run it back at least one more time. So we'll see if this Phillies team can do that.
Are the Eagles still the team to beat in the NFC East and the
Absolutely.
NFC? And quick thoughts on just the on the draft and the offseason moves to this Eagles roster, and in Miles Sanders leaving for Carolina quickly. Are you okay for a few more questions? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So my first, are the Eagles the team to beat? Absolutely. Again, everyone's going to have a X mark. Just like what cracked me up was everybody was on this giant New York Giants ride, and the New York Giants this, and the New York Giants that.
Yeah.
How many points they got in the playoffs with the Eagles? 7. They got. You ever take a soda can and crush it up and throw it in the trash? That's
Yeah.
exactly. And then everyone's talking about the 49ers and Brock Purdy and all this other stuff. You know what happened after that? They were talking about Brock Purdy's just a third string quarterback. Wait a minute. And then he got hurt, but it's still Brock Purdy wouldn't have survived that game. The defense already got to him, 2 plays into the game.
Yeah.
So again, you the 49ers, and again, I've looked at all the social media and talk about the Eagles this and the Eagles that. Whether you want to bash Eagles or not, uh, they are the one. And I don't want to say it's just because I'm an Eagles fan. I'm a home, as a homer or whatever. But Eagles, to me, are one of the most watched teams because a lot of people dislike them and a lot of people love them. So uh, you find yourself shortly on one side of the fence you want to be on. So I really, like I said, it's they've been an enjoyable product. Now you're talking about the moves that they made in the draft. Like I said, I gotta see how that pans out. I gotta see how it pans out because I gotta see how this Eagles team does as far as drafts and stuff like that. Again, I think, like I said, I don't want to say anything yet because, like I said, I'm like a mush. I'll say something's going to happen and then the complete opposite. But from what the Eagles did in the draft, I feel very confident moving forward with the Birds. Um, and yeah, and as far as Miles Sanders being out of here, good riddance.
I'm
Good.
a huge. I liked him personally,
Mm-hmm.
but I do like DeAndre Swift from the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions made a mistake, just like Darius Slade, and I think Philly fans are going to really like DeAndre Swift if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, and listen, that's one thing the Eagles do address. One thing about Howie, he does address the position of need. Again, whether it's building through the defense, building through the offense. He does a fine job of coordinating this whole team. And again, he doesn't mess around. So like I said, he's actually when everyone's sitting there playing checkers, he's playing chess. He goes out, he makes all the right moves, makes all the right draft picks. Again, he he knows how to wheel and deal with people. He knows how to suck people into deals. You wonder like, how do you pull out this deal? Here, I'll give you a second round, third draft, and you give me this guy. And I don't know what he does over the phone, but he gets the job done. And this is why the Eagles have been so dominant for so long. It's because of Howie Roseman. I mean, you go that drop off from Dougie P to Nick Sirianni, and it's not much of a drop off at all. I mean, again, you're talking about and head coach, Dougie P, that no one gave a shot to because he was a third string quarterback, and he wins the Super Bowl. And then now all of a sudden he's having great success with Jacksonville, and now here he is. Here's Nick Sirianni. No one saw Nick Sirianni coming into the picture, and yet again, Harry Roseman, more credit to him, playing chess, picking the smartest guy in the room. And you see where Nick Sirianni's mindset is. He wears his talent on his sleeves. He's very, very passionate. All he wants to do is win.
I'm going to put you on the spot with this question. Obviously, last year the Phillies, the Flyers, and the Union got to the championship. Unfortunately,
No.
all three didn't win, but that's still a tremendous accomplishment. Out of those three teams, which one do you feel will bring the next championship to Philadelphia?
Uh, Good question. So yeah, like you said, last year you had, believe it or not, if you now with the surges of USFL, with the Philadelphia Stars, it was 4 teams last year who went to the championship
Oh, I
and
forgot about
collapsed.
that. Me bad.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
But like I said, like you said, the Union they go to the MLS Cup and just lose. The Phillies go to the World Series and lose. The Eagles go to the Super Bowl and lose. But to answer your question, to me, the next team to win a chip, it's got to be the Eagles. The Eagles are in the driving seat. The Flyers are going to take a few years. Like I said, they're going through the
Yes.
rebuild process. And they told you they go out and get Mitch Koff. And I'm going to butcher his name. I try not to. Mishkov. They went out to go get this kid, and they told you he's not going to be ready for 2 to 3 years because he's got a deal with the KHL. So he's got to finish out his contract over there, and then he'll be over here. But still, so that's telling you there, and that was your first over draft pick. He was ranked. He falls to number 7, and a lot of people don't wait that long. So they got these other players, but they on paper, this kid, other than Connor Bernard, he was the second best rated in the draft. So, but for him not to come over the next few years, I think the Flyers fans rather have that than as Mike Lauer was to say, you put band-aids on broken legs. You really um, you're really trying to put this team together, and it's always bringing these old veterans in, and you're hovering around the AC of a playoff spot. You're not really making that best of anything. You're one and done in playoffs, and we've had enough of that for years. And even the I call them the Flyer sheep, who just they buy season tickets just to see a fist fight. And that's what I call the Flyer sheep. You guys are just there, you don't care what they I said, you guys don't care what you guys, what project they just throw it in there. You're just there and just go, bah, yes, yes. But anyway, the Flyers do have a direction. They are going to, like I said, turn things around. It's going to take them a few years. So I don't know. The Sixers now with this whole MB thing, I don't know where they're going. I don't know. For the past 12 years, they go through this process of trust the process. They get rid of players. They want to stink up for a few years. They bring in MB. They bring in Ben Simmons. They still can't get past the second round. They want up moving on from Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons turns out to be this quote unquote guy who just can't shoot the basketball. That was his biggest issue. We all know that. He's a great passer, great defender, all that stuff, but he can't shoot the rock as a point guard. So they move on from it. They bring in James Harden. What they get from James Harden, absolutely everything the same, except for he has a little bit of a better shot game. James Harden, though, it just again, when you guys are playing, when the Sixers are playing against the Celtics, they didn't show up. They didn't show up. Your two major stars didn't show up, and that's so we don't know where the Sixers are at. The Phillies are again, if they can make it to the wild card, great. It's all eyes on them. They may be the next team to bring the championship. I mean, again, you got you got Bryce Harper there. He's banged up. He's still hitting pretty well. You got Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos. You got Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber had a heck of a series this past weekend against the Padres. Alec Bohm is very consistent. Bryson Stott's having a hell of a year. And then, like I said, your only gray spot has been this starting pitching. Even the bullpen's been really, really solid with Greg Kimbrell, Greg Soto, and so forth. So, and then, like I said, the Eagles are just going to be that's going to be everyone's question mark. Will this team be? And with Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni making all the right adjustments, I can't see why not. I mean, you got guys like Jalen Hurts as the playmaker. You got an O line that's been dominant for years. You have, like I said, a nasty front four defense, and they just make adjustments. If they can blitz you, they can put you in guys in double coverage, make it uncomfortable for you to throw a rock, and you better get that ball out of your hands in 2 seconds or less, because that defense is going to punch you in the mouth. So, like I said, when I look at this Eagles team, I think that they could be the next team runners up. So, right now, if I had a pinpoint, it would be the same teams that we saw last year. It would be the Union. The Union were off to a slow start, but they've kind of figured things out. Jim Kern's a heck of a coach, the longest tenure coach in Philadelphia sports. He's got two major pieces on his team, Dan Gazdag and Julian Carranza. That's his goal scorers. You got Andre Blake, who's notoriously playing. It's a world of difference when he's between the pipes. So you got a good core there. So it's going to be interesting to see who is. And like I said, if I had to bring one, it's going to probably have to be the Eagles again.
Okay. I'm going to wrap this up with two quick questions. Sure. I could talk to you for 2 to 3 hours, by the way, for Philly sports, by the way.
Same.
That's why I changed the name of my podcast a couple years ago from 30 Minutes Live to with CDP to now Live with CDP. So what I wanted to ask you is, being near Toronto, the Raptors let Nick Nurse go. What are your thoughts on Nick Nurse coming to Philadelphia, and how much more can he get out of this team that Doc Rivers and the other guys couldn't do?
Good question. So for anybody who's watching this podcast now, I advise you to watch my guy Dives. He does Party on Broad every Thursday at 6:00. That guy, I call him the laboratory. If for Sixers and Eagles, that guy breaks down. This guy is breaking down Sixers Summer League right now. I mean, you're thinking about vacation. This guy is in the laboratory because this guy is focusing on breaking it down. So my thoughts, though, we've discussed about Nick Nurse coming into. He loves Nick Nurse, and I do too. Nick Nurse is going to be a guy, no nonsense coach. Again, he has the resume. He's got the championship under his belt. But to me but how are we've seen with a couple of coaches where they have that no nonsense mentality, but once the players stop listening to that no nonsense mentality, you already lost your job. So. I'm all about changing coaches and stuff like that, but I can't blame last season on listen, Doc Rivers made some mistakes, absolutely. But when your two major superstars don't show up, this is now going to be the third coach under the Sixers regime now. Now you're bringing in Nick Nurse. I mean, what else is, I've seen the coaches again in the years. I mean, to me, they're going to respond at first, but at some point, it becomes deaf ears, and then what happens? Are we going to get rid of another coach? At some point, you got to blame the talent. So, I'm on the trade to get rid of NB now, and people are like, "Oh, you get a Palencia back." I'd rather get something new and get something going. Then again, he was MVP. He's got he can play. For a big man, I've never seen. I know it's a little bit of a different topic, but I mean, I've never seen a big man, a center who can drop threes, take double coverages, and stuff he does. But he's a good regular season player. Regular season, there's a difference. Everyone laughed, "Hey, Joker." MB got the MVP. Joker said, "Yeah, but I got the finals." So I'd rather have the finals than the MVP.
Absolutely. And like I said, I a guest, and we'll talk more Sixers and maybe about the Philadelphia Union as well. I'm going to wrap this up with the last question. Can you just tell my audience quickly about the Edge of Philly Sports' newest podcast show, Still Steps? And where can my audience here in Ontario follow you on social media and your website as well?
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So, guys, if wrestling fans out there, this is awesome. The group of team that I'm with, like I said, Hakeem, Chris, Joey Woods, these guys really, really do a phenomenal job breaking down pro wrestling. You guys want to talk WWE, they can do it. You want to talk AEW, they can do it. They're not just doing that. They are covering a lot of small promotions out there, CZWs, MLW, Game Changer Wrestling. They do it all. They write articles about everybody. They do reels, films, you name it. These guys live and breathe at that 23 ECW arena. So I suggest if you guys want to watch the podcast that comes on every Friday night at 10 o'clock on Edge of Philly Sports, you can watch on Facebook. No, you can watch on Edge of Philly Sports YouTube and Twitter and Twitch if you guys want to comment to the show. We love it. So that's the best way to do it. And for me personally, right here at Edge of Philly Sports, you can catch. Let me take out the roll book here. Now, you can catch me on PM in the AM, Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Deborah Sports Facebook, Edge of Philly Sports, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You can catch us every, I'm on, like I said, Sunday mornings talking Philadelphia sports, hot topics. Me, Mike Laro, Al Safir, we break it all down. This week, we're going to obviously get back talking more Phillies. And this weekend, we're going to talk best head coaches of all time in Philadelphia sports. So that's going to be a very interesting topic. We're going to have that going on. And then, like I said, Edge of Philly Sports, they got you covered every Philadelphia Phillies game. They have it covered every Sixers game, every Eagles game. They got it covered just about everything. Every big game that happens with the Union, they got an immediate show doing that. Of course, you catch the Attack and Third for any Union fan out there. Catch them Tuesdays at 9 o'clock on, again, Edge of Philly Sports YouTube. And then you got the flagship shows on Wednesday nights. You have Philly Press Box. You have Philly Press Box, you have Party on Broad, you have Big Al, Joe Shearer. Those guys come at 10:30, and then you have Matty B's at 9 o'clock. So, like I said, and of course, all across sometimes Sundays at 9 o'clock. I gotta give my man Gary a shout out. Love working with Gary. So.
And Gary is also a season ticket holder for the CFL Toronto Argonauts, along with myself. And that's another league I love too, the CFL. It reminds me of the National Lacrosse League. And if you ever get a chance to watch a CFL game, honestly, it's exciting. It's football, and it's a little different from the NFL, but it's still exciting. And Gary's really passionate about the Argonauts as well. But hey, I want to say, Patrick, thank you so much for giving me over an hour of your time. And you have an open invite to come back on my show again and talk some Philly sports. And I'm really looking forward to the Eagles season. And soon as September comes, hockey's back. The NBA is back in October. So it's becoming a good time of the year for sports again as well.
Yeah, yes. First of all, Chris, thank you so much for the open invitation. Love being on here. Look, just meeting you today and get to know you. Again, we've already built a good friendship here, and same. If you want to hop on, come in here on Edge Philly Sports, we could always get you on there as well. Again, I love talking, Philadelphia sports. Again, you mentioned about October, when all this, you have pretty much all the sports going on at the same time. To me, October is Christmas. People look at Halloween,
Yes.
look at it as Christmas for sports fans. You'll have open day hockey, basketball, football's right in the middle of the mix. You have postseason baseball, you have postseason MLS, and then right after that, the NLL gets started. So, um, you know, this right here is called the remote. That becomes my best friend, and
Absolutely.
that and my couch over here become my two best friends through the month of October. So,
Absolutely. And I put the website down here. If you guys want to check out Edge of Philly Sports, check out eopsports.com as well. All right, Patrick, I want to say thank you so much for coming on live with CDP Sports Talk, episode number 301. And we'll check out your shows this week. And I will definitely say hi to Gary for you. And I hope and just give me a few minutes, Patrick, and I'll have this episode. I'll send you the video link and the audio link as well.
oh, awesome. Thanks, Chris. And Chris, listen, if you need a good laugh, if you need, to watch two Philadelphia sports guys get into it, I suggest Sundays at 9 a.m. Have your breakfast ready. And because me and my man, Mike Laro, we fight. And he knows we fight. And he likes fighting with me. And I like fighting with him. It's like a marriage that's completely goes wrong every day. It's like watching two uncles at a barbecue that fist fight on the front lawn. That's what me and Mike Lauer are like. Okay, we never agree on anything, and if we do, it's very unlikely. But yeah, we highly, and it's not like it's scripted. It's this just is. It's just our norm. It's our atmosphere of things
Old
going
school
bad.
radio. Old school radio.
Yes.
A little plug to my radio station, WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta. They have a lot of great shows as well. And they picked up my show because they liked my guests, my content, and also the fact my podcast is international. I have guests from the States, Canada, UK, Australia, and are all across the world as well. And I will let you know when it airs on the radio station, and I'll send you the link as well.
All right. Cool. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pat. Have a great evening, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you on social media. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks. All right, guys, that was Patrick Bernard from Edge of Philly Sports here on Season 6, Episode 26 of Live with CDP Sports Talk on this Monday, July 17th, 2023. And before we go, guys, I'm going to air a little interview I did with Crossbody Pro Wrestling Ladies Champion, Crystal Moon, from about 10 days ago in Cambridge. And just bear with me. Chris Palme here live at Crossbody Pro Wrestling here in Cambridge, and I have a special guest tonight. Her name is Crystal Moon. She is the Crossbody Pro Wrestling Women's Champion. Crystal fought tonight against Cosmos.
Robbie Cosmos. Gotta give it to him. He's a good kid. There's lots of kicks and chops and punches, and he's pretty good. But he can't outsmart me. I was just one step ahead of him. But I'll give it to him. He's got something.
And now you get a bit of a new nickname, Heartless Crystal Moon.
Yes. So I was nice for a really long time. And I felt it really wasn't getting me anywhere. So I decided just to do it for me, to wrestle for me, nobody else. I was looking for the cheers from the fans. Now I don't care. I'm just going to wrestle and do what I want and win no matter what. And if I have to be heartless, then I have to be heartless.
Yeah, I noticed you used some questionable tactics tonight to get the win over Cosmos.
I did. I had to throw some Eddie Guerrero, my favorite wrestler of all time, in there. But like I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win, good or bad. So that's what I'm going to do.
What's it been like being the women's champion for the last 16 months now?
It's it's pretty good. I was chasing that title for a really long time, and to finally have it for so long, it feels really great. And I represent Crossbody, a really great promotion. It's near and dear to my heart. I'm really happy to be the face and the champion of the women's division here.
Who have been some of your toughest challengers recently?
My toughest challenger will always be Alexia Nicole. I got to give it to her as much as it pains me. She is hands down the best women's wrestler in Canada. So I will give her that, even though I don't like saying that. Don't tell her I said that. And you know what? Like, Laurel Cassidy, I don't like her, but I'm slowly starting to respect her. She's never going to get my title, but she's I'm watching out. I'm still watching out.
I mean, there's another big card tomorrow night. Are you involved in that as well, Crystal?
Yes, I am. So I'm in a mixed tag. It's me and Rajan Husher versus Alexia Nicole and Gabriel Fuerza. Really looking forward for this match. My title's not on the line, so I am the only champion guaranteed going into season 2 with the title. So I'm pretty excited about that. But no, the Fuerza and Alexia are obviously the best wrestlers around. So being able to step foot in the ring with them, and Rajan's been a good buddy of mine here at Crossbody. So yeah, I'm excited for the match.
You trust him as a partner?
You know what? I don't trust anybody, but if I were to trust somebody, it would be him.
Okay, and what time is this card tomorrow?
I believe it starts at 7. I'm not 100% sure, but you can check Crossbody, their Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It'll be on there, but I believe it's 7 p.m. Bell.
Okay, and for fans that have never come to a Crossbody Pro Wrestling event here in Cambridge, what would you say to them?
I would say come check it out. It's great wrestling. You're going to see some of these talents on TV in the next couple months, years, whatever. Some of the best talent around. It's a great promotion to support. I'm the women's champ, so that's number one reason to come and check it out. But yeah, it's just everybody has fun here. It's a good family vibe. You bring your friends, your family, your kids. So yeah.
All right, we'll wrap this up. Where can my audience follow you on social media?
So you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Crystal with a K, moon_PW, and you can follow me there. It's Crystal with a K.
All right, well, Crystal, I want to say thank you so much. And again, congratulations on your win tonight, and continued success. And hopefully I can get out here tomorrow night as well. But thank you so much, Crystal, for doing this. Crystal Moon, the Crossbody Pro Wrestling Women's Champion. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, that clip was courtesy of my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, type in Chris Palme Live with CDP Sports Talk and hit the subscribe notification. And I want to say thank you to my 209 subscribers, which is up from 60 last year. So I still got a ways to go building up my YouTube audience, but I want to say thank you to my 209 subscribers on my YouTube channel as well. The next live with CDP Sports Talk, Season 6, Episode 27, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph, will be tomorrow night, Tuesday, July 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Linda Crockett. She's a trauma therapist, and she also is involved with preventing harm, advocating for safety in the workplace. So I hope you guys can tune in to this show tomorrow night with Linda Crockett at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be talking about workplace safety, psychological stuff, and also her being a trauma therapist as well. And also, guys, the new Argo Bounce live audio show, a weekly show myself and Nick Small, my co-host, talk about the CFL's Toronto Argonauts, will air tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern for approximately a half an hour as Nick and me talk Argos football, break down their win over the Alouettes, and also talk a little CFL as well. So hopefully you guys can tune in to Live with CDP tomorrow night at 6 o'clock with Linda Crockett, and then the Argo Bounce live audio show with myself and Nick Small at 9 p.m. as well. And guys, just give me 1 second. I got so much stuff on my graphics. Live with CDP Sports Talk is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme. Is on weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM. The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Occasionally, my show will be preempted for either hockey in the wintertime or baseball in the summertime with the Columbus Hoots baseball team as well. But I should be back on the show tomorrow night as well. And you guys can check out the radio station's website at wqeefm.radio12345.com as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live stream broadcast tonight. You guys can also check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme, all my digital content, my social media sites, and my previous podcast shows, both video and audio, are on that website as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210 or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet, check out their Summer Adventures event at Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph. 2023 Equinox and Blazer RS available for 4.49% financing for up to 60 months. More details available at barrycullen.com or drop by 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall as well. You guys can also, everybody can, if they like to, they can follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. That's at Live with CDP on TikTok. I post a lot of content there as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com as well. And finally, guys, Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Stitcher, Tuned In, and also on weeknights at 8 p.m. on WQEE 99.1 FM. And also, guys, please consider subscribing to Live with CDP Sports Talk on Spotify as well, and then these other platforms that I mentioned as well. Finally, you guys can email or text the show at Live with CDP Sports Talks at chrispalme19@gmail.com, or you can text me at 519-820-7188 with questions, comments, or any suggestions for future episodes as well. Again, guys, I want to say thank you so much to Patrick Bernard from the Edge of Philly Sports for coming on tonight. And also check out his newest pro wrestling podcast show called Still Steps as well, through Edge of Philly Sports as well. And again, I'm looking forward to my next podcast show again tomorrow night, Tuesday, July 18th, 6 p.m. again Eastern, with my guest Linda Crockett, trauma therapist, and she's involved with preventing harm advocating for safety in the workplaces as well. And also the Argo Bounce live audio show with Nick Small and myself at 9 p.m. talking Toronto Argonauts football, their win against the Alouettes, and previewing the game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats this Friday at Tim Hortons, where they'll be going against their third string quarterback, as Matthew Schultz is now out for 6 weeks, and Bo Levi Mitchell, their starter, is still hurt as well. Again, guys, thank you to everybody for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk, and also on WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta. And thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet for sponsoring this show. I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock for another edition of Live with CDP Sports Talk.